Hi, we're continuing our lessons on solving quadratics by factoring, but now we're doing problems that do not start with a 1 or a 1x squared. So for example, we're doing one that starts with a 3x squared. All right, let me remind you that our goal is to solve to find out what x is equal to. And when we're doing it by factoring, we are taking our original equation and we're breaking it up into two parentheses that will eventually set equal to 0 to find out what x is equal to. All right, our first step in solving these problems is to start each parentheses with this first number, with this 3x. Notice it's just a 3x, not an x squared, because when you multiply x times x, that's when you would get that second power back. All right, but when we multiply 3 times 3, I won't get 3 here. I will get 9. So that means that somewhere towards the middle of our problem, we're going to have to simplify either one parenthesis or both parentheses. All right, our next step is to take this first number, which again was 3, and your last number, which is negative 12, and you're going to multiply them. 3 times negative 12 is negative 36. And you're going to give me the factors of 36. What multiplies to 36? Like 1 times 36, 2 times 18, 3 times 12, 4 times 9, and 6 times 6. We are going to pick only one of those pairs. That would give me negative 16 in the middle, either by adding or subtracting to negative 16. So which one would give me negative 16 in the middle? It will be 2 and 18. All right. To find out our signs that go with those, you need to ask yourself, are we adding these numbers or are we subtracting these numbers to get 16? I am subtracting them, right? So when you are subtracting, they're going to have opposite signs, the 2 and the 18. If I were to add them, I would have the same signs, either 2 positives or 2 negatives to get my answer. All right, so they have to have opposite signs. Because it's a negative 16, it means that your bigger number, the 18, needs to also be negative so that I can get an overwhelmingly negative answer. So that makes the 2 the opposite sign, which is a positive. All right, so I'm going to take both of those numbers, this positive 2 and this negative 18, and I'm going to put them at the end of these parentheses. And it doesn't matter whether you want to put the 2 first or the 18 first. You will get the same answer. All right, like I said earlier, we're going to have to simplify one of these parentheses or both. So let's check them. Can I divide both 3 and 2 by something? Can I take away something from both? No, right? The biggest number that I can divide them by is a 1. So that means that I would get the same exact parentheses back. So I'm just going to rewrite it again. All right. Can I divide both 3 and 18 by something? Or take a number away from both? Yes, I can divide 3 out. What is 3 divided by 3? 1. And 18 divided by 3 is a 6. So these are my two parentheses. Let me remind you that our goal is to get these x by itself. Is it by itself right now? No. So that means that there's at least one more step to do. I'm going to take each of these parentheses and I'm going to set them both equal to 0. I'm going to set them both equal to 0 to find out what your x is equal to. All right, let me remind you that our goal is to get the x by itself. So let's do the 3x plus 2 first. If my goal is to get this x by itself, I need to first get rid of that 2. So on each side, I'm going to subtract 2. Because positive 2 and a negative 2 would cancel out because it gave me 0. So all I would be left with is 3x, and 0 minus 2 is negative 2. All right, my goal is to get the x alone, so I need to get rid of that 3. Right now, it's being multiplied times x, so to get rid of a multiplication, I would have to divide both sides by 3. 3 divided by 3 is a 1, so all I would be left with is x. Negative 2 divided by 3, there's no way to simplify it, so that would be my answer right here. That's one of my x's alone. We still have to look at the other one. We're trying to get our x alone, so we need to get rid of that 6. I am going to do the opposite, which is add 6 to both sides. Negative 6 and a positive 6 gives me 0. So I am left behind with 1x. And 0 plus 6 is 6. All right, is my x completely alone? No. I still have a 1 in front of it. Right now it's being multiplied times that x. So the opposite would be to divide both sides by the 1. 1 divided by 1 is 1. So all I will be left with is an x. And 6 divided by 1 is 6. So these are my two answers right here. Notice that we had 2 parentheses, so it makes sense that I would end up with 2 different x's. That's not always the case. You might have 1 x, you might have no x's at all. All right, but these answers can be called different things. They may be called solutions, roots, zeros, or x-intercepts. So if in the question they ask for any of those words, they just mean what is x is equal to.